Hi, it's Terry Gaines. In this video, I'm going to share a fun fold card created with a Simply Marbleous 6x6 designer series paper. This paper is free with a $50 purchase during Sale-a-bration, which actually ends tomorrow. In the packet, you receive 48 sheets, 8 each of 6 double-sided prints. They have a beautiful marbled print on each side. They coordinate with 12 of Stampin' Up's exclusive colors, colors for cardstock, ink pads, blends, and accessories. I am going to be creating a card with the pool party in the Coastal Cabana in basic white with this sheet of designer series paper. When I'm done assembling this card, I'm going to show you a finished sample with the other colors, and you are going to love all of them. This fun fold is an idea from Susie Wood. I will share a link to her blog post on my blog post, and if you found me via YouTube, in the comments section, there'll be a direct link to my blog post where you can find the measurements. The first piece of cardstock that we need, I've identified as cardstock number 1, is 8 inches by 5.5. This needs to be scored at 3 inches, at 6 inches, and at 7 inches. It is going to be folded to be a mountain fold at the 3 inch, a valley fold at the 6 inch, and another mountain fold at the 7 inch. And we will want to take a bone folder and crease those to help keep them in the form or at the fold. So the card is going to be, this is the card base. Cardstock number 2 is 6 inches by 3 inches, and this is scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to score that at 4 1/4. And I believe I'm done with the Simply scoring, so I'm going to move that out of the way. And for this card piece, this is the main panel, and we're going to fold that as a mountain fold. So this is the main front, and this is the back. So we'll take a bone folder and crease that. I'm going to go ahead and put some tear-in tape on this piece right now. We're going to put tear-in tape. It's the strongest adhesive. I'm going to put that right on the bottom edge here, and the top edge here would be the bottom of the back panel. So I love the tear-in tape because you can just tear it. So this is all ready to go. And let's identify the rest of the pieces that we need for this project. We need a piece of coordinating cardstock that is 2 3/4 by 4, designer series paper, which is 5 1/4 by 2 3/4, along with some basic white pieces. We need a basic white piece that is 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. That's going to be layered on this panel. We would want for the inside sentiment 5 1/4 by 2 3/4, and that's for the inside. So I've stamped a couple images on that. We also need a basic white stamped with the sentiment, and then this one is going to be punched out with a tailored tag punch. I like to stamp my images first and then punch them out. That way I get better alignment. Then we also need coordinating cardstock for the Label Me Lovely punch, and I've got that done ahead of time. So these two are the same. I've left these two the same, cardstock 1, cardstock 2. So we have all the pieces here identified for the main card. What I want to show you is a couple things I did to this piece. This piece here I have identified that you'd want to texture that. I use the Painted Texture 3D folder, so I'm going to replace that one. And also because this piece is getting sandwiched in here, I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to cut out some of the decorative images with the Daffodil die set. So these 3 images are going to be cut out of this piece of cardstock so it can be utilized and maximize our cardstock. So I've done that. So what we're going to do before we assemble the card is we're actually going to put the decorative image on. Because I'm going to be using the Daffodil Daylight Bundle, which is a stamp set and the dies bundle together, and I'm going to utilize these dies that are quite long, and they're longer than my cardstock. So I'm going to want to decorate this first before I adhere it to this piece. So let me share a little bit of details about how I did this decorative piece. What I did was, we've identified I've cut those 3 pieces out. So I've cut out this piece and this piece and this piece. I also want to cut out a detail because these two pieces combined will create an image like this. So I'm going to use the lighter shade for the back or the base, the darker shade for the detail. I'm going to cut these two out of the lighter shade and these two out of the darker, because layered together you'll get that contrast. I'm going to use both leaves and this stem that's leaning to the left. So what I did for the back of my darker cardstock, I put the tear and tape on that. The tear and tape is the best option, or not tear and tape, adhesive sheets. You get 12 sheets, they're 6 by 12, and what I do is I cut them down to size, and this is not the right size for representing this, but I peel the label off, put the adhesive on the back of the cardstock, turn it over, run it through my die cutting machine, and then the back of your image then has a peel off with adhesive on. So I did that for the 3 detail pieces. So we've got those. And I also did that for the cards, for the Granny Apple Green, for these 3 die pieces. So what I decided to do to aid in getting the stems the right size, for the cardstock, we're done with this piece. Let me bring this one in. For the cardstock, for the Granny Apple Green, for the right leaf, my cardstock height was 3 3/4. I put the adhesive sheet on the back, and I took this stem, ran it through my die cutting machine, so I got my stem the height I needed it to be. Then I took a piece of cardstock that was 3 3/4, put the adhesive sheet on the back, ran this through my die cutting machine to get my center stem the height I wanted it. I took another piece of Granny Apple Green that is 2 3/4 inch high, adhesive sheet on the back, and then I might have mixed these up. It would have been this die for this one for the other one. Cut that out. Then I have my leaf the right height. So now we have everything we need to assemble our card. So as I mentioned, let's start out with the decorative image, and that's going to be putting these pieces on first. On the back of each one of these, there is that adhesive sheet. So you can take your pick tool, and let's see how easy this is going to be. Take your pick tool, take the adhesive off, and I'm going to start out with this about in the center, maybe a little bit to the right, and that allows me to line it to the edge of this cardstock. Then I'm going to take the leaf that's going to the left, take the backing off, and this adhesive sheet works really great because now adhesive's on that entire leaf. So now I'm going to line that up and veer that off to the left. Then I'm going to take this one, which is a 1/2 inch longer than the center stem, take the backing off, and place this one on top of that. And at any time they're not squared up here, you can take a paper snips and cut that off. So now I have this on here, so that allows me to put my adhesive on the back. Oops, I get this started a little bit here, and I'm using the Stampin' Seal. You're going to look for equal spacing on all 4 sides. I like to watch opposite corners, look at all 4 sides for equal spacing. Then this is going to be adhered to this panel. I'm going to do all of this before I adhere this to the main card. So I'm looking for equal spacing and on this panel here. So we have our tear and tape on the back of this. So let's go ahead and start working on this card base. We are going to kind of going back and forth, hopefully following me. So our designer series paper is going to be adhered to this panel. This is considered the front, this is the back of the card. So we're going to place this on. You need to choose which side of the paper you want. I actually am going to use this side, and I'm going to look for equal spacing on the top and the 2 sides. Let that fall into place. Now this is for the inside. The inside is right here. I'm going to go ahead and place that on right now. So let me put my adhesive on here, In this case, I'm going to look for equal spacing on the bottom and the two sides. Then the top should fall into place. So that's the inside. This is the front. So now what we want to do is we want to adhere this piece to this panel about 3/4 of an inch over. I think it's best to bring a Simply Scoring back in, or you can use grid paper. But with the Simply Scoring tool, what we can do is we can place this flat down onto the card, push it up against the wall. 3/4 of an inch is going to be at 4 3/4 if it's pushed all the way over to that edge. Take the backing off of the panel, place this up. You can move it without touching the adhesive. Have this end at 4 3/4, drop that into place. Now you have that adhered evenly on the bottom. Now we are done with that. I'm going to move that out of the way again. Now to assemble the next piece, we're going to do our mountain fold, valley fold, mountain fold, lay that all flat, take the backing off. Sometimes you need to put pressure and maybe some friction will help get that off. Bring this flat down, and now you've got your fun fold assembled. We are going to finish decorating it. For the rest of the flower, what I've done ahead of time is I've got those two pieces together, but I just wanted to give you a tip on putting these together. All three of those petals are unique. I look for the petal that's got the more defined corner, and I look for that, and I found it here and I found it here. So those are the two areas that I'm going to look at when I attempt to layer these two together. So you can take the backing off, and then here's the corner. I'm going to look for that corner, but before I place it down, I'm going to look at all three petals to get those to line up. So that's how those are layered. So what we'll do is we'll put our regular adhesive on the back of this. So I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal on the back of those three petals. And while I have my adhesive out, I'm going to put on the back of those three petals. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this one on first, either one of them, they're identical, and have that opened like that or layered like that. Now what I have is this petal is the same as this one. I'm going to make sure this one is directly across from it, so it's now over here, and that will give me, put that into place. Now I want a little bit of dimension for this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I think I forgot to bring dimensionals over here. Goodness. So I don't think I have any. Oh yeah, I do. So my videos are unedited. I do not edit them, and I didn't want to start all over. We're almost done. So I put tear and tape on here. So now what I want to do is I want to put a partial dimensional. You can use a mini dimensional, or you can take and cut the edge and get a partial dimensional, and we're going to put that one towards the top of the flower, and then we're going to put a full dimensional right on top of that. And what that's going to allow us to do, I'll bring this up and show you. We've got a strong adhesive down here, so it will lay flat. Then we've got our adhesive on an angle, and what that's going to do, when I say adhesive, our dimensional, when we place that down, then we get an angle. It's adhered flat here, but it comes up to give you some dimension. For our sentiment, this is going to be our background, and what we're going to do is take dimensionals, put 2 of them down here, and 2 of them right here, because this is going to be placed on here. If we put the adhesive on this piece, we're blind to where we're adhering it here. You want no exposed adhesive. But by putting your dimensionals here, then taking your backing off, that will allow you to place this down. And what you can do is look for the straight edge to be parallel to the edge or to the sides. I'm going to place that down like this, and then you can use dimensionals or your regular adhesive. I'm just going to use regular adhesive, and I'm going to place this down for my sentiment. This comes from the same stamp set that coordinates with the dies. And then we have these brushed brass butterflies, and I'm going to add one right here. Oops, put that a little bit on an angle. And then I'll put a little one right over here. Let's see how easy these are to pick up. Oops. Goodness, I told you my videos are unedited. Now I'm having a little bit of trouble with this little guy. I'm going to put him right there. So that is the fun fold. The last thing I'm going to do is take some of the sheer pool party ribbon that's in the annual catalog. And with this you can tie a bow. And then what I'm going to do is trim it and use a mini glue dot and place this on the stem for of the flowers. So mini glue dots work great for adhering your bows. And we'll place this right here. And here we have a fun fold card using the Daffodil Daydreams Bundle and the Simply Marbleous Designer Series paper. So here's one of the colors. Here's another color combination. And here's the Smoky Slate and Basic Gray. We have the Misty Moonlight and Balmy Blue. And we have this one. And, oh, this is the one I'm missing right here. So those are the 6 different colors. I do have a bonus one. This is using the Daffodil Afternoon colored in with the blends and a different color combination. If these cards look familiar, or the product, a couple weeks ago I shared a fun fold using the very same product. So I will have a link on my blog post to go to this blog post and video. It's the very same product I used for both of these fun folds, but that gives you a whole different look. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found this fun fold to be a fun card to make. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box under the video, then select the red bell, and you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this video. Take care and happy creating.